Greetings, sports fans, and welcome to the fourth edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast here on YouTube. I'm your host, Charles Taylor, and my co host, Patrick Brackett, has the night off, but he will be back next week. And he had some prior engagements, but like I say, he'll be back next week, next Tuesday, as a matter of fact, when we do another webcast. So, some of the topics we'll be diving into today include my botched upset pick from last week. We'll also talk about Tim Tebow, the Mets, and the inning situation with pitcher Matt Harvey. And we'll preview some of this weekend's college football action and NFL action as well. We'll talk a little bit about the Steelers Patriots game from last night. But let's start with that botched upset pick I had last week. I picked Texas to defeat Notre Dame last weekend. And as a lot of you know, that did not go over well at all. Notre Dame won the game 38-3. And it's really as simple as Texas not showing up to play. Obviously, I can go into the stats. I could tell you Notre Dame outgained Texas 527 yards to 163. I could also tell you they had 30 first downs to Texas's 8 first downs. And I could also tell you they had double the time of possession Texas did. But even though all those stats were in Notre Dame's favor and the score indicated all that, it was really just as simple as Texas just not being ready to play. Give Notre Dame all the credit because they were ready to play and they came in there making statements. They were obviously a lot more prepared than Texas was. Texas did not, it didn't seem like they had any game plan. They didn't have any fire. They just didn't show up ready to play. It's almost like the environment got the best of them. They knew the game was going to be nationally televised on NBC. You're up in South Bend. You have all that prestige with the Notre Dame program. And it's almost like they got struck by all of that pizzazz, all the glitz and the glamour that is up there for a night game in Notre Dame. Texas just was not ready to play. Their offensive game plan was very conservative. Their defensive game plan was very conservative. The quarterback, Tyrone Swoopes, didn't look like he had any fire out there. Didn't look like he was having any type of control over what was going on. It was just a horrible, horrible game all the way through for Texas. So I'm on here to say I was horribly wrong about that pick. Hopefully I could do better next week or in this week with upset alerts. No predictions. We saw how predictions worked out for me. But this has to get better really quick. It is a shame to see a program like Texas continuously get blown out like this. It's one thing to lose. I think anybody can deal with the loss if they know they brought it, if they know they gave everything they had. But when you just go out there and you just get manhandled like Texas did, that's hard to take. And so the effort has to get better. The changes have been made in the coaching staff in terms of play calling duties. Hopefully that will make some improvements happen, and it has to happen fast because once Big 12 play starts, if Texas does not get it together, it's going to be a long season for me and the rest of the Longhorn fans and the team in general. So hopefully Texas can get things fixed, and I'll try to be better with my upset picks. So moving on from that, let's discuss the situation with New York Mets pitcher Matt Harvey. So he has this innings limit coming off of Tommy John surgery. The innings limit has him at 180 innings, and I guess they will reevaluate the situation at that point, whether to keep him pitching for the season or to just shut him down altogether. The thing is, the situation is a little bit, it's actually cleared up a little bit. When you consider the Mets are in first place in the National League East, they're 7.5 games up on the Washington Nationals, coming off of the sweep they had in DC of the Nationals, putting that team out of their misery. So the Nationals are done. Don't worry about that. The Mets will be the division winners. They will be in the playoffs. So as for Matt Harvey, I think the situation is very simple. At the 180 innings mark, when he gets there, get with the doctor and the agent, the GM, the manager, the general manager, all of them need to get together and they have to get on the same page. Why this is such an issue and why they're not on the same page from the beginning, I have no idea. But they have to get on the same page now and do the x-rays, do the MRIs, do whatever they have to do to make sure Matt Harvey's arm is in good working form. If it is, he needs to continue pitching. If not, if there's a few complications there, shut him down. It's not that difficult. Obviously, Matt Harvey feels like he can pitch. So if that's the case, I say let him pitch. He's getting paid millions and millions of dollars anyway to go out there and pitch. And why did you even have him do the surgery if you didn't feel like he could go out there and pitch with no restrictions? That's the purpose of having surgery. You get your stuff fixed and you come back and you're supposed to be better than ever. And if there are complications, well, then you might have to do some cleaning up. Things happen like that. I understand. But if he's fine, let him go. Remember the situation with Steven Strasburg for the Nationals a few years ago, and the Nationals said they were just going to shut him down altogether after he got to his innings limit, which they did. How's that working out for him? He's still hurt. He's always hurt as it is. I'm surprised he's not hurt right now. But with Matt Harvey, if he's fine, let him pitch. And I never understood the whole thing with innings limits anyway. A lot of pitchers who have come back from Tommy John surgery and haven't had any type of innings restriction. So why does Matt Harvey have to have the innings restriction? I just think this is the agent, Scott Boras, trying to protect his guy, which I understand. But if he's getting paid millions of dollars on a contract you negotiated with him, he's got to be out there to pitch, especially if he's okay. Let him pitch. Let him do his thing and let the chips fall where they may. Moving on, let's talk about Tim Tebow. Now, this is a tribute to my boy Patrick because Patrick said Tim Tebow would be starting in week 4 or by week 4 for the Eagles. He's not going to be starting in week 4. As a matter of fact, he's not even on the team. He got cut on Saturday, and now he's back with the SEC network. Let's start with the team here first. I don't know what Chip Kelly is actually doing here, and honestly, a lot of his moves I question. We'll see if they work out coming up this season, but you traded Nick Foles away to get Sam Bradford. You let Deshaun Jackson go. You let LaShawn McCoy go. You let Jeremy Maclin go. These are your best playmakers on the team. Whether or not they didn't match up with the system he's trying to run, I don't know. Only he knows. But it just seems kind of weird you let some of your best players go just out of the blue. But letting Tim Tebow go, to me, was a questionable move all in and of itself because you traded Matt Barkley. You traded Matt Barkley to the Arizona Cardinals. So the thinking was you couldn't have too many quarterbacks on there. Then you have your 3 quarterbacks. But then he cuts Tim Tebow and signs a man in Stephen Morris who just got released by the Jaguars. The Jaguars. No disrespect for the Jaguars, but it's the Jaguars. So I don't understand what Chip Kelly is doing there. He said Tim Tebow wasn't good enough to be the 3. From what I saw in the preseason, I thought he looked all right. Granted, he was playing against some backup players and some players trying to make the team, but I felt like Tim Tebow was doing all right. I guess Chip Kelly has an idea of what he's doing, obviously, and we're going to see how things work out. He's putting a lot of stock into Sam Bradford, who has had 2 season-ending injuries. So obviously, durability is an issue. It is very questionable whether or not he's going to make it through half the season, let alone a whole season. So we'll see what Sam Bradford does. He's obviously putting a lot of stock in himself because contract talks have broken off between him and the team. So if he thinks he can stay healthy, we'll see. I mean, I don't think he can stay healthy. I have no reason to believe he can stay healthy, but he's obviously putting a lot of stock into himself, which he should. I always say, if you're going to put stock into somebody, put stock in yourself because you're the one who's going to make sure you're the best off. So It's going to be interesting to see how everything materializes. But putting a lot of stock into Sam Bradford is a really, really dangerous place to put that stock in if you're the Eagles and Eagles fans. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything turns out. As for Tim Tebow and his future, it does look cloudy. We know he'll be back on the SEC network doing commentary. Personally, I do think he will come back. He will make another run at this. And I hope he does. And I root for Tim Tebow. I've always been a Tim Tebow fan. I liked him when he was at Florida. And I even liked him when he had his magical run when he was with the Denver Broncos. I still believe he can be a good quarterback in this league. A lot of people don't, of course. So I know I'm gonna get flack for that one, but I think he can still be a good quarterback. He just won't be starting week 4, like Patrick said. Sorry, Patrick. For the next topic, we will talk about some of the college football action from or coming up this weekend. So we'll outline a couple of games, or a few games actually. The headline game is Oregon at Michigan State. And this is a tough game to call, but I'm going to say Michigan State will win this game because traditionally Oregon has problems with teams who are physical on both sides of the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. Yes, I know they did beat Michigan State last year in Oregon 46-27. I understand that. But here's the rematch. This game is going to be in East Lansing on Michigan State's campus, and I think home field advantage will make a difference. I think Michigan State will do a better job of controlling the clock, running the football, and keeping Oregon's offense off the field. I think they will be able to establish the line of scrimmages on both sides of the ball, and Oregon, I think, will struggle. Well, maybe not struggle. They'll score some points. It's Oregon. They will put some points up on the board. I think the score will be, let's go 31-27 Michigan State. But that's why I'm picking Michigan State, because I think home field advantage will be key, and they will be able to establish the line of scrimmage and go ahead and rekindle some of those issues Oregon has with more physical teams. When you go back into the history, you look at the games they played against Auburn when they played for the national championship back in the 2010 season, when they played LSU the season after, Ohio State, when they ran up and down the field on them in last year's national title game. Ezekiel Elliott had a gazillion yards against Oregon, just being physical. Those are the type of teams that will beat Oregon, the teams that are very, very physical and will take the fight to them. As long as Michigan State is able to survive that initial blow from Oregon, the fast start Oregon likes to get on in a lot of games, if they can survive that initial blow and continue to be balanced with their play calling, Michigan State should be okay. And I think they will. I think they will survive the initial blow, and they will win that game 31-27. Another game that's on the docket is LSU and Mississippi State. So this game will be played in Starkville. Mississippi State went down to Baton Rouge and beat LSU last year, and that was probably the game that announced to the nation Mississippi State is going to be a team to be heard from for the season. And they slipped down the stretch, losing the game at Mississippi to their rival, and then getting beat in the Orange Bowl against Georgia Tech last year. But that game against LSU was what jump-started them to be the #1 team in the nation for a good part of the season. So LSU's coming up here. We don't really know what LSU is working with because they didn't play last week. Their game against McNeese State was canceled due to weather. So it's going to be interesting to see how their quarterback situation looks, because Les Miles really didn't have a handle on who the starter was going to be until coming up to the McNeese State game. And we know their running game is going to be strong. LSU will bring some defense. Mississippi State, pretty much the same way. I don't know how much they have in terms of offensive firepower. They looked all right against Southern Mississippi last week, but I think LSU's defense is a little bit better than Southern Miss. I think the score of this game probably will be pretty low scoring. I'm going to go, well, not low scoring. I'll go 24-21 LSU. I do think LSU will be able to go up to Starkville and win this game. It will be close. It is tough to win up there in Starkville, but I do think LSU will be able to win that game. If they are able to win that game, watch out for them in the SEC West. A lot of people are talking about Alabama. They're talking about Auburn. Arkansas is getting a lot of publicity, and Texas A&M, after they defeated Arizona State last week, they seem to be a real trendy pick as well. But if LSU is able to win this game against Mississippi State, watch LSU. They're going to be right there. They're a team that rarely gets blown out. They're always in games, even as ugly as it can be sometimes. Watching LSU, they are always in the game. So watch out for them if they are able to defeat Mississippi State this Saturday. Upset alert. No predictions. No upset predictions. We saw how that worked out for me last week. So I'm going to take a break from the prediction and I'll just go upset alert. And the alert is for Oklahoma, who has to go to Knoxville and play Tennessee. Tennessee is a team a lot of people like in the SEC as well. They have had 2 straight years where they were in the top 5 in recruiting. And there are a lot of these players appear to be coming into their own. This is not a conference game, obviously. This is intra-conference. This is Big 12 versus the SEC. But if this is a game where Tennessee can announce they're going to be a threat, this would be the one with Oklahoma coming into this game. As much as this is going to hurt me to say this, I don't think Oklahoma is going to lose the game. Sorry. But I think Oklahoma will be able to pull this out, but this will be another close game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was low scoring. Even though both offenses put up some big numbers against inferior opponents last week, I think the quality of both of those teams will show in this game, and I think the game will be a little bit more low scoring than the numbers they put up last week against those opponents. Tennessee is coming, though. Make no mistake about it. With all the young talent they have recruited, it's going to be a matter of time before they're a serious contender. But I don't think they will win this game this week. But having said that, again, it's an upset alert. I would not be surprised at all if Oklahoma got beat. And I'm actually rooting for it. I'm pulling for it. I'm one of the biggest Tennessee Volunteers fans this week. But I don't think Oklahoma will lose. I got Oklahoma winning by a field goal or maybe 7 points. But Oklahoma will probably pull it out. But again, I would not be surprised to see Tennessee pull this game out. Last but not least, we'll talk about the Steelers and Patriots game from last night. It is good to talk about some football that actually happened on the field. But of course, before we get to that action, the Patriots are caught in another controversy, yet another one. Apparently, there was some headset problems with the Steelers coaches. If you saw Mike Tomlin's news conference, he said they were listening to the Patriots broadcast of the game throughout the first half or through most of the first half. And basically he said something like this happens all the time when they go up to Foxborough. If you're the Patriots, when does it stop? When do you not get caught up in some crazy controversy, some crazy scandal accusing you of cheating? Spygate, Deflategate, and now I'm sure Headsetgate will be the next scandal to come up for the Patriots. It's crazy how this stuff is happening in this close proximity. The Patriots said they were having the same issues with headsets, and there was an NFL statement that said there was an issue with the headsets on both sides of the field, on both sidelines. So if what the NFL said is true, which you can kind of take that with a grain of salt as well, then this was just a communications problem altogether. It just seems crazy that it's in the Patriots' home stadium, where they just celebrated their latest Super Bowl win. It was just one of those situations where it just seemed like it was going to be impossible for the Steelers to win anyway. But more so for being on the field than any of this other mess. On the field, you had Tom Brady. He came in there and he played, I think, pretty much like everybody thought he would play, inspired and with a chip on his shoulders. He went through a pretty tough offseason, as we all know, and he was going to be very, very motivated just to get out there on the field. And it looked like the team followed his lead. Rob Gronkowski was a beast as usual. And the offensive line played pretty well considering they were starting like three rookies on the line. And the defense did pretty well. I mean, considering they were under siege all night from Ben Roethlisberger, throwing to Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is a beast too. Whoever had him on fantasy, whoever had him and Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady, they racked up. They might have won their first matchups this week if you had those three players. But New England winning the game, not a big surprise. But it's unfortunate the latest controversy with this headset stuff is what's going to be the big topic going into today and into this weekend until more football gets started. So with that, that will wrap up the fourth edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. Like I said, Patrick will be back next week, next Tuesday, bringing the energy and that passion like only he can. So again, subscribe to the Breath of Fresh Air page. I have Google Plus and Facebook pages as well for the site, and I still write articles on the blog that's titled the same, Breath of Fresh Air. So please check those out as well. Please check out the webcast. There will be more coming. So until next time, I'm Charles Taylor, and enjoy the weekend, enjoy the football action, enjoy some of the baseball action, and we will talk next week. Take care.